So indeed, great honor. I should say something on this special sort of anniversary or something. So, I always, you see, believe and also telling everywhere, world belongs to 7 billion human beings. And then each nation actually belongs to the people, not kings or queens or rajas or ranis, and leaders, including spiritual leaders. Actually, people are the real, the boss of the country. So, in order to carry responsibility by the people, the democratic system is the best system through election. Then I think I myself, from childhood, I realize our old system, Tibetan government system, there are a lot of drawbacks because, of course, at that time, no newspaper, but only one Tibetan newspaper published at Kalimpong. One Ladakhi Christian, Thurjin Babu. So we occasionally receive one copy of that newspaper. Otherwise, in Tibet, no newspaper. So for me, the source of information is sweepers. Very good. They're very honest. When I ask something, they really should mention me how bad such minister or even regent. When I ask some officials, they say, "Oh, blight, too much blight." Oh, okay, good like that. So then, you see, I realize some drawbacks there, injustice there, favoritism there, like that. You see, these things, you see, due to the power in few people's hand. So then, 1950, I think 51, I took the responsibility. So then, soon after that, I set up a reform committee, some reform, but not very successful because Chinese leaders, they want to reform according to their own way. So, if Tibetan carry by themselves some reform, it naturally more fit to the condition, right? So therefore, I said that will be obstacle for their own way of reform. So then, 52, 53, 54, I went to Peking. Then 56, came to India. While I was in Peking, 1954, around October 1st, Pandit Nehru also, you see, came in Peking. So first meeting, Pandit Nehru, not much talk, just a meeting like that. Then 56, several talks with Pandit Nehru. Then 59, when we decide to raise Tibetan issue at the UN, Pandit Nehru opposed that. But in any way, we raise. And then, after that, another occasion meeting with Nehru. I a little bit because of the anxious. Say, in spite of his advice, we sort of raised UN to the issue. But then when I met him, nothing. So that also shows the freedom of Kasota. Freedom of thought like that. Really. So that this Tin Murtin since '56 I came several times. And eventually we developed, I think, very, very close trust, friendship with the late Jawaharlal Nehru. We Tibetan refugee community. Now, after all, since '59, now over 58 years past, refugee community not only settled well, self-sufficiency, right? But also, you see, we carry various sort of projects for preservation of Tibetan culture, particularly Tibetan knowledge, the ancient Indian knowledge. So all these, Pandit Nehru really also create foundation. So Jawaharlal Nehru, in Tibetan, usually they say Chola Nehru, means Kasota.
Brothers.
Brother Nehru, like that. Jawaharlal, Tibetan word Chola. Chola means, you say, elder brother. So now, so therefore, after '59, after I reached India at Mussoorie, 1 year I spent there, at once we start work for democratization. Then eventually 2001, elected political leadership achieved. Since then, you see, my position is semi-retired position. Then 2011, I totally retired. So not only myself retired, but also at least 4th century old tradition, Dalai Lama institution automatically become head of both temporal and spirituality. Now that voluntarily, happily, proudly cease. So we genuinely now practice democratic system like that. So now in the future, even Dalai Lama institution remain, 15 Dalai Lama come, no significance about the political matter. I think Chinese government do not know that, so still consider Dalai Lama, or the reincarnation of Dalai Lama is something very important. So they show more concern for 14 Dalai Lama or 15 Dalai Lama than myself. I have not much concern. So my part, I fully, as a sort of admirer of democracy, I myself, you see, committed democratization like that. So I think we're quite proud, small Tibetan community. We fully practice democracy, democratic system. You see, as for in that field, I think we small community much advanced than big China. So eventually, I think according wishes of Chinese people, I think Chinese Communist Party may follow our practice, our pattern. So in any way, now, India, most populated democratic country. Because of that, very stable. Compare neighboring state in West Pakistan and also Afghanistan, and then East Burma, Thailand, and South Sri Lanka. I think comparatively, I think this country much, much stable, peaceful. And 1,000-year-old US sort of tradition, ahimsa, respect other. That, I think, really brings harmony among different religious traditions. Today, I think India is the only country where all major world religious traditions live together. Occasionally, some problem. That's understandable. Over 1 billion Indian, not Bodhisattva. So some problems, you see, naturally happen. But overall picture, I think, wonderful, wonderful. Now, since people are the real ruler of the country, so people should inform what is the reality, what is going on. Now, free press, very important role to educate people, inform the reality. Sometimes officials, I think everywhere, you see, prefer more positive report, more positive side. Little wrong things try to hide. So press should make clear those things which concern sort of leaders or people or government level try to try to hide. You see, it is your sort of responsibility to make clear. Provided honest, truthful. Or media people belongs to this party or belongs to that party, and a little bit sort of biased. That also is not good, but you say it truthfully, objectively. That's very, very essential. So Indian press, I think generally speaking, I think you really, because of the use of freedom, that's very good, very good. Then one thing I have to sort of view everywhere, you know, the media usually you see pick up all those negative things, and that become cause of sensational. Then people, you see, look, always hear some negative side. Then gradually, you see, gain some kind of impression. Oh, basic human nature, human society is something negative. And the future of humanity may be doomed. So therefore, the media, beside report all these negative things what happen, but at the same time, educate people. Basic human nature is more positive. Now some scientists say basic human nature is more compassionate. So, you see, while you make clear presentation, all these negative things, at the same time, give people confidence, hope. Always negative thing. That also I feel you take because of some notice. I always telling people, now we really need try to create more compassionate human society, more compassionate humanity. Biologically, we are a social animal, so sense of community always there. From birth, that is there. And we grown up with parents, particularly mother's affection, mother's love. So that's 7 billion human beings, same way. So in our blood, the appreciation of love, others' affection is there. So a person surrounded with more compassionate friend, they are not only mentally feel happy, but also physically, also you see, getting more healthier, like that. So therefore, irrespective whether believer or non-believer, it is very, very important make effort. Firstly, make clear basic human nature is more compassionate. There is real basis of hope. If basic human nature is negative, anger, then no hope. Since this is basic Buddhist nature, because I do human nature is more compassionate, so therefore, now time come, think more seriously. Today's existing education system, whether it is sufficient or not, we already notice now a lot of problems created by human being. Most of these troublemakers are educated. So the education, I feel, I have this sort of view, the existing modern education very much oriented about material value, not talking about inner value. When inner value comes, we totally rely on religious faith. Then today's world, out of 7 billion, over 1 billion non-believer. And frankly speaking, among the 6 billion believer, there are some strange believers also there. The faith itself sometimes causing trouble. Actually, all major religious traditions all carry message of love, message of forgiveness, tolerance, self-discipline, contentment. So all have the same, also the potential. But we, follower of different religious tradition, not much pay attention about real practice. Just carry, I am Buddhist, I am Christian, I am Muslim, like that. Occasionally visit temple. Then sometimes you see it grow, my faith, my religion, my religion. Then I think 1,000-year-old, we have this sort of some kind of tradition, or one concept of one truth, one religion. Sometimes it causing problem. In India, multi-religious community. So every Indian child knows from childhood, there are many different religious traditions. It is very important. Whereas you see people, there's only one religion, then feel their religion is truthful, other something different. So mentally, emotionally, a little bit isolated. That feeling of isolation then creates fear or outside made threat. There are only one religion, like that. So therefore, India, I think historically, 1,000 years, you see, I think India, I feel, only India, all major world traditions live together. So that's, I think, according with the concept of ahimsa. And ahimsa mainly on action level, resisting harming other. That very much related with motivation, karuna. So that's India's tradition, combination of ahimsa and karuna. So these 1,000-year-old India's tradition must now propagate, right? Spread. So it is not sufficient, just you have this tradition, say just tradition, and showing some interest, not sufficient. We have to make sort of systematic sort of plan from kindergarten up to university level. You see, they educate these inner value. So in this respect, now my fourth commitment, as you know, the first commitment is promotion of sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. The second commitment is promotion of religious harmony. Third commitment is the preservation of Tibetan knowledge, or Tibetan knowledge which comes from Nalanda. So therefore, then the fourth now commitment is I'm trying to revival of ancient Indian knowledge in this country. So India, only India can do combination of modern technology, modern education, modernization, plus education about inner world. No other country except India. So now that potential, I think you should utilize, you should explore, right? So my fourth commitment now is try to revival. And another word, the chela of ancient Indian teacher, Indian guru. 1,000 years we kept. Now time come to re-educate our guru. 8th century, since 8th century, we learn from Indian master. Not just religion, but say science of mind and logic. Therefore, we Tibetan student is who study at least 20, 30 years this logic, so their mind quite sharp. Recently in town area, one Indian politician, you see, accompanied with me a few days. So one morning, we met. He asked me about rest, about sleep, like that. Then I told him, I always have 9 hours sleep. About 6 o'clock, go to sleep. And then 3 morning, wake up. And then at least 4 or 5 hours meditation, analytical meditation, sharpening my mind, so that I can cheat other people more easily. Then he responded me. He only 6 hours sleep, so he cannot cheat other people. Very nice, isn't it? Very nice. So all these knowledge come from India. One Tibetan scholar, of 14th, 15th century, he expressed, till light of India reached Tibet, Tibet still remained dark in spite land of snow. Only light of India reached Tibet, and then land of snow become bright. It is very true, very true. So now those or say their knowledge, we learn from Nalanda masters, Nalanda tradition. Nalanda tradition always you see emphasis importance of investigation, not belief, not faith. Buddha himself, you see, made clear, "Oh, my follower, monks, scholars, should not accept my teaching out of faith, but thorough investigation and experiment." So that's a very scientific way of approach. So we kept that tradition. So now, time come. We ancient Indian gurus chela now want to become guru. So in any way, I think now media people also use it, think more seriously, and some form of article like that, I think, inform Indian public. India can combine modern education that bring us physical comfort, and then for mental comfort, ancient Indian knowledge about our emotion, and most important, how to tackle our emotion, not through prayer, not through some recitation of a mantra, but through use our own intelligence. Analyze. What is the use of anger? Analyze. Use more holistic view. Through that way, India's tradition have the potential to transform our emotion. My own case, as a student of ancient Indian thought, through decades thinking, really affects my emotion. So, all these come from India. Your treasure, your knowledge. So we, 1,000 years, we kept these. So now, while you revival this knowledge, you have to give me more money. Or over 1,000 years, we kept. So like that. So, in this country, as I mentioned, but Nehru's, you see, because of the far-sightedness, you see, now today, we have almost over 10,000 monk students who carry study, who keep this ancient knowledge. Now, up to now, language problem there. Now, since some time back, you see, I urge them, you should learn English or Hindi or local language, and also I urge them study modern science. So now, last a few years now more and more monk scholar now who can speak English or Hindi or Chinese, and also some knowledge about modern science. Now these, so once you take serious of what's today, interest, then all these monk students who I think good scholar as a result, at least 20 years study. Our way study like Nalanda tradition, root text learned by heart, memorize. Myself also, just from childhood, you see, memorize these root text. Then each word explained by teacher according commentary wrote by Nalanda master, most of them. Then some Tibetan commentary wrote by Tibetan also included. And then use extensively logic, through logical sort of debate, very serious debate. So our understanding each word very deep, because a lot of debate. In order to carry debate, you see, we always raise doubt, question. Then further investigate, further debate. Then the meaning become very kasoda, precisely, like that. So all this, your tradition. Now modern India, I think very busy to copy Western sort of value. Particularly the people who are serving in diplomatic field. So now, please, you see, think more seriously whether this ancient Indian knowledge is relevant to today's world or not. You can ask some well-known, famous scientists. They know. When we discuss over 30 years discussion, when we explain about system of emotion, system of mind, they really are surprised. Some scientists now actually following ancient this knowledge. So they really find very, very useful. So therefore, you can ask, you can see these people really showing genuine sort of interest about ancient Indian knowledge. So now, I think really worthwhile revive. Once India develop some kind of combination, modern education, ancient sort of education about inner world, then I think China. I think basically, historically, China, Buddhist country. So now today, around 400 million Buddhist population there. Those Buddhist countries in Asia, I think very close connection, emotionally. So India's some certain sort of because of in certain sense in modernization where education of these things, I think tremendous impact in these Buddhist countries. So that politically also is some benefit there, like that. So that I want to share with you. Now some questions, some argument. Yes, raise question.
Fine. Your Holiness, we thank you for your deeply moving, inspiring, simple, educative, and motivating lecture. We have been greatly enriched by your thoughts and words. May I once again request you to give His Holiness a warm round of applause.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. His Holiness has very kindly agreed to take questions and answers, and as presiding over this function, I'm taking the privilege of asking the first. Your Holiness, this is going to be a political question.
Yes.
Tensions between India and China have risen recently over the Chinese intrusions in the tri-junction of the India, Bhutan, and China border at Doklam. There is even talk of war. What is your
talk
of war?
Oh.
What is your advice to the governments of these two countries, China and India, to de-escalate the situation and end the standoff?
I think this is quite, I said, a big issue. Basically, I believe, you see, India, China, historically, you see, because of the neighbor. And as I mentioned earlier, I think we should make distinction, people and the government. Chinese government, something different. But Chinese people, as a people. So, the government after sort of few decades, you see, may change. Their thinking also is may change. But people always remain there. 4,000 or 5,000 years. So people's level, I don't think, you see, negative feeling, except sometimes government is manipulated, some wrong information, propaganda, sometimes it makes it sort of complicated. But otherwise, basically, I think I love Chinese people, cultured people, hardworking. So now this moment, so there's a tension. I don't think, this is very serious. I don't think. Look, 62 Chinese forces reach to Bomdila and beyond, but eventually withdraw. So nobody, I mean both sides, dare to carry big war. I don't think. This moment also. And then, plus, where? On top of that, now today, is an American sort of, or say, administration, decline or I mean withdraw. There are, responsibility. So China become more sort of responsibility nature because of nation. So I don't think. The other day I also mentioned, and eventually the Hindi Chini bye-bye. That's the only way. Big two nation. You see, neither one have the ability to eliminate other one or defeat other one. So you have to live side by side. So for temporary, use some harsh word and a few sort of the problem. But I don't think much serious. That's my view.
Okay, thank you. I just have a quick follow-up question, and this pertains to the Indian government. Has Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi and his government been as supportive of the Tibetan cause as the previous Indian governments have? What role do you think India should be playing in the Tibetan cause?
Actually, I always say talking. India, culturally, Tibet, almost I think part of Indian culture. So preservation of Tibetan culture is actually preservation of ancient Indian knowledge. So, beside political matter, India should pay more attention because of concern, the preservation of ancient Indian knowledge, Nalanda tradition, Nalanda thought, not only refugee community, but also inside Tibet. I think any sensible Chinese, including those Chinese Buddhists, now many of them begin to feel or realize Tibetan Buddhist tradition is authentic Nalanda tradition. So now, our last few years, I especially there's some Chinese Buddhists from mainland China. There are a few hundred, sometimes few thousand come. So I give some teaching. So when I meet these people, you see, most of them cheer. Like that. So many of these people, you see, really, I think emotionally very close with this country. So, since some time back, I suggesting to government of India, like Hajj Samarway, Muslim pilgrimage, and or the Kazade, Mount Kailash, Mount Sarovar. So some kind of arrangement to Chinese Buddhist pilgrims, Buddhagaya, Sanchi, some other Rajagiri, or these sort of famous, well-known Buddhist site. I think some kind of arrangement so that millions of Chinese Buddhists feel, oh, this is special arrangement, so they are very easy go to India and take pilgrimage. That impact millions of Chinese mind, emotion. So this, I think, important, directly spiritual, and indirectly emotionally. These things, I think, important, I feel. And then eventually, I think those about 10,000 monk students, including many Ladakhis, many Himalayan range people who study in South India, and also few hundred Mongolians. So although government of India, you see, they are visa, these, as the government of India, you see, take some consideration. But still, I feel these monk student is the source of revival of ancient Indian knowledge in this country. So far, they remain in Karnataka state, a little bit isolated, nobody pay attention. They themselves also remain isolated. Since some years, I asked them, you must make wider contact with some universities around there. So except one college, Serche College, have some Kasa.
Connection with
Lamtat Kasa.
Tumakuru University.
Tumakuru University in Mysore. Otherwise, you see, they very little contact. So if anyway, you see, explore these students' knowledge in some of Indian universities, it will be very, very helpful. Like that. That's one thing. And then the relation with China, I don't think it's much serious, I feel. Occasionally some sort of noise. And media people, very, very, very fond, you see, make a little bit exaggeration.
Your Holiness, before I open it out to the audience, I have a final question.
Oh.
President Xi Jinping has now emerged as a leader as powerful as Mao and Deng Xiaoping.
Oh.
You had earlier praised President Xi for his tough stand on corruption. What is your opinion about him now, especially because he now rules over a more aggressive and assertive China?
Oh, still, my view is the same. He's really stand very tough. The cleaning among the party member and some high authorities. There are a lot of corruptions. So I think his courageous sort of stand, these things, I appreciate. And then overall, we cannot say it's an individual level, but the whole system is such. But then, the overall, I think today's China, compared 30, 40 years ago, much already changed. Nowadays in China, I was told, in restaurant or tea shops, people without fear criticize their leader. And 40 years ago, impossible. So things are changing. So I think next another decade, I think the change need for their own interest, close society, tight control, without freedom of media, very harmful, long run. And during Chairman Mao's period, the China themselves prefer isolate. Then different question. Now, since Deng Xiaoping, you see, China want to close relation with the outside world, mainly economic field. And now, you see, I think a few 100,000 Chinese students study in broad, in America or Japan, in Australia, like that, and some of the European countries. I think India also, I think, should create the more facility for Chinese student, some sponsorship. Come here. I met few Chinese students who study in this country. I think you should create more facility, bring more Chinese students come here, and some sort of training or technological thing or some other things like that. So these, I think decade by decade, you see, these who have more sort of knowledge, more awareness outside, naturally, you see, impact in their way of thinking. One story, few years ago, one was in airplane from, I think, Chengdu to Lhasa. So there, one Chinese businessman there, one Chinese officials there, some Tibetans also there. So later, I got the information. While they are sort of coming to Lhasa, the official, they criticize Tibetan refugees and particularly Dalai Lama, like that. Then the Chinese businessman replied, "No, I know something about Dalai Lama. Not that kind of person." He argued with Chinese officials. Because of the day, businessmen have the opportunity to visit different countries and got more information, like that. So things are changing. Things are changing.
Your Holiness, would you like to go back to Tibet? Do you think it's possible?
That's too early to say. When the Shanghai, Hong Kong, you see, Kasoda handed over to China. I think 95 or something, isn't it?
97,
Yes.
he says.
So when that announced, I felt, before that, things may change like that. Now, 2000, now, because of 2017. So I don't know.
But you'd wish to go back?
But as you mentioned, I'm son of India. And at least this country, there is freedom. So, I can do more. Or place where no freedom, I don't like. And also, you see, some of my, the small way to make some contribution. Without freedom, that also cannot do. I always consider myself citizen of the world, one of the 7 billion human beings. So, with freedom, with India's freedom, you see, I have much opportunity to share some of my vision, some of my thought, like that. And all come from ancient Indian knowledge. So, Oh, and then recent my sort of experience in Ladakh, because of high altitude, feeling of tiredness, quite serious. So then I thought, now return to Lhasa may be difficult now. So better to stay in India's heat.
And it's rain, it's thunder, there's thunder outside. Mr. H.K. Dua would like to ask you a question, sir. He's a former president of the Editors Guild. Would someone please
Following up Raj's question.
Yes, sir. Just you can use the mic.
Is there any possibility in the near future of talks between your representatives and President Xi Jinping's representatives?
Some my friends say, after a 19th party meeting, some old Politburo member, because of their age, some change will come, will take place. So some people say, some my friends say, after 19th party meeting, there could be some possibility, some change. So we'll see. I cannot say definite, but some my friend, some Chinese friend, is he telling me like that? So in any way, although anyway, you see, we are refugee. Me personally, anyway, the longest guest of Indian government. So, and then I actually, you see, carrying, you see, something like messenger of ancient Indian knowledge. So I feel, remain this country, anyway, stateless, refugee, but a meaningful life, really, meaningful life.
Vijay?
Yes, sir. I'm Vijay Naik. I'm the member of the Executive Committee of the Editors Guild of India.
Former secretary, sir.
Excellency, I just want to ask you, we keep on hearing almost every week or maybe a month also that there are people who are self-immolating in Lhasa and other parts of Tibet. What is your advice to them? Because I hear that the youth wing of the exiled government of Tibet is quite militant-oriented. They want some kind of a struggle against China. And number two, what do you think about the present dealing of the Chinese in Tibet, you say? I mean, because you had told us that there's a religion called Ban. Ban religion of the Tibetan is in danger in Lhasa or in Tibet. What do you think about the danger to the Tibetan religion in Tibet?
Last now over 60 years, a lot of destructions. More than, I think, 5,000-6,000 temples, monasteries destroyed, and several 100,000 monks and killed. Like in 1940, the 1930s in Mongolia, a lot of destructions. A monastery, a monk. So the Buddha Dharma in Mongolia, previously very, very well established. A lot of Mongolian scholars who study in Tibet. When I was there, some scholars from Mongolia or from Russia. In Russia, 3 republics, Kalmykia Republic, Tuva Republic, and then Buryat Republic, all these follower of Nalanda tradition, same way. Buddhism reached there later part from Tibet. So they use Tibetan language and Tibetan text. So similar situation after 1956. And then several years. And then Cultural Revolution happened. So, for example, one monastery, big monastery, Debu Monastery near Lhasa, when I carried the final examination, the Debu Monastery, number of monks there, mainly student, there are about 8,000. Now recent years, about few hundred, like that. So a lot of damage. And then these monastic institutions, they compulsory political education, like that. But then, still in public level, you see the faith on Buddha Dharma very strong, and plus among the Chinese also, like that. So, good to go. So I think a Buddhist faith, and then also I think they, among the believer or among the Buddhist, I think two categories. In the public level, not much knowledge about Buddhist philosophy, about Buddhist concept, just a faith. I often use mentioning in Ladakh, in this area, they are very faithful, but more or less blind faith, not very stable. But another category, Buddhist faith, with full of knowledge about Buddhist concept. Now, for example, the quantum physics, Rajaramana, you see, a few years ago, you see, in one occasion in Delhi, he told me, quantum physics in the West, something new. In this country, 2,000 years ago, already developed that concept. He mentioned to me, one of Nagarjuna's writing, he found that concept. So when I have opportunity to discuss with quantum physicists, you see, they reach certain level. Then beyond that, they say observer, observer. Then about observer, the quantum physicist not yet sort of analyze where is the observer. In this country, I think over 3,000 years, investigate where is self. And also, you see, some sort of Hindu, see, they believe there's a creator like that. But like Jain and the Sangha philosophy, these, you see, no concept of creator. So, life after life. So then the question, who take who come from previous life and this life, from here, where the next life? This body naturally not go or not come. And mind which is related with this brain, also you see new. So, what is sort of from previous life here, from here, next life? Then concept of Atma comes. Something independent, separate from this body and mind. Then Buddha come, Anatma theory. No such independent, absolute oneness, self not there. Self just discriminated on the combination of body and mind. So in this country, yesterday last 2 days, I have sort of serious discussion with Russian scientists, Russian scholars. So, one speaker, you said, talking about self. Then his explanation, oh, wonderful, but still very limited. So, student of Nalanda sort of tradition, so we have plenty of things to explain these things, like that. So therefore, and then psychology, Western psychology. Compare ancient Indian psychology, Western psychology looks like kindergarten level. Ancient Indian psychology, highly developed. So people who knows these things, then their faith remain very strong. They can argue with those party member, narrow-minded party member. A party member also, you see, I have the experience when Soviet Union there, my first visit Soviet Union and Mongolia via Moscow, then still Soviet Union. Mongolia also a communist country. When I met one individual Mongolian, then seeking some blessing like that. When another person joined, then they remain pure atheist. So in Chinese community also, including some generals, military high officials, when group with group, atheist, individual, something different.
Your Holiness, sorry to interrupt, but when you talk...
So therefore, you see, these spiritual the concept or things, sufficient reasons, so never will change, never can destroy. But more form of blind faith, yes, some change. So I have no worry. And then Pan, traditional Tibetan, the religious belief, Pan, we have one center in near Solun, Malwe. Solun. You see, they very well established. Now they really enjoy their own study and also their status. Status also, you see, equal. Different Buddhist sect and Pambo sect equal. We always consider our ancient tradition, spiritual tradition, like that. And then modern Pambo is mixed. Some Buddhist ideas also, you see, Kasole, incorporated like that. So,
yeah, Your Holiness, since you spoke about reincarnation, do you see a 15th Dalai Lama emerging? Will the institution of the Dalai Lama continue after you're gone? What if China names a Dalai Lama?
I have a follower. Is it going to be a woman?
Okay. So, as early as 1969, one of my official statements, I stated the very institution of Dalai Lama should continue not up to Tibetan people. So now, I think in 90s, after meeting with spiritual leaders among Tibetan, we discuss, occasionally we meeting. So then we decide, my age reach around 90, then we will another sort of kasoda, serious discussion. So then we'll decide. So some kind of preparation, some idea about the future of Dalai Lama institution. Now maybe next 1 or 2 years, I think maybe worthwhile some sort of today, Kasuta, preparation work. Now here, including some Mongolian and whole northern Himalayan sort of range, they also have the responsibility about the future of the Dharma institution like that. So that's up to people. My own case, every day, my sort of prayer is, so long sentient beings suffering remain there, I will remain in order to serve as much as possible. So, like that. Then a female. I think a few years ago in Paris, one female magazine, right? One, I think, editor, maybe one lady come, and she asked me, any possibility future Dalai Lama can be women? Then I said, oh yes, of course. If the circumstances is such, female body more useful to serve in Buddha Dharma and some other purpose, then certainly come. In Tibetan tradition, some very high Lama, actually, I think almost, I think 600-700 years, highest Lama, one highest Lama, female, Samdi Dwajapam, like that. So in Tibetan tradition, there are female high Lamas there. So therefore, then at that time I mentioned, if female Dalai Lama come, should be more attractive. So later, again you see one BBC, I think a few years ago. Then after that, some Indian lady, you see, criticized that. I don't know what is the reason. I just mentioned, you see, more sort of one of the quality of human being also is mentioned, long life and strong strong body and more a good looking. It is common sense. I think this, you imagine Dalai Lama not bad looking, and you feel more happier, more close. If the same name Dalai Lama, I think you feel a little uncomfortable. That's common sense. But one Indian lady used to criticize that. I don't know what is the reason.
Holiness, there's a question from the audience here.
Yes.
Right in front.
Here, yeah.
Yes.
Your Holiness, thank you for your words today. My name is Marguerite Clark. I'm from Ireland, and I'm working here in Delhi in an organization. And my questions are about education. You mention education and students and knowledge a lot in your comments, and it's obviously something you find very valuable. I wanted to know your views on girls and education. Around the world, so many girls, millions, are still out of school, and many parents are not convinced that education is important for girls. What would you say to those parents? And then the second part, where there are students, there are also teachers. Yet in India and many countries around the world, teachers are not held in high esteem in society, even though they are meant to pass on knowledge. How do you think countries can show more value for their teachers? Because it is teachers who will pass along the knowledge, whether modern or traditional. Thank you.
I think I want to say something. In ancient time, say, I think 100,000 years ago, a human being a small number, and almost, you see, work together, and whatever they get, something shared together. Then eventually population increase, a farming system start. So then my farm, my house, my possessions already, like that. So then stealing, and bully, cheating, these things happen. So then concept of leadership come. Now, then at that time, no rule of education. So in order to become a leader, the only physical strength. So that start male dominance. I want to know more. One small island in Pacific, you see, in their society, mother, female, carrying main responsibility. So how it happened, I want to know, like that. And anyway, male dominance then come. Look, animal, male, physically more stronger, so usually they lead like that. Then eventually education come. Education brings more equal, male and female. So modern time, quite number of female leadership. I think today's world, the German Michael Chancellor, I think very strong, wonderful. I think very realistic. And when take refugees, see, she used some occasion the word compassion. Nice, like that. So in any way, in this country also, Indira Gandhi, although some controversial, but still, and then Golda Meir, like that. So, education brings more equal. Now, today, we need special effort for promotion of deeper human value. That's human love, human compassion. In that respect, female, biologically, greater potential about love. Now scientists also say, two person, one male, one female, look, one sort of motion or picture, this is someone passing through very painful experience. The response from two person, female or male, the female much more stronger. So therefore, now a time of, you see, the special effort, promotion of human, deeper human value, that's human compassion, human love. In such period, female should take more active role for promotion of human deeper value, that's compassion. And then, teacher, as I already mentioned, very important. I think the greatest sort of way to service other is teacher. Although nurses, doctors also, you see, very much sort of looking after their health. That also great service. But education, you see, promote their brain. So more important. Doctor taking care of physical. Teacher taking care of their mind. Teachers are very, very important. So all these Nalanda master, I consider professors of Nalanda University, like that. So education, the real sort of shaping world is education. And a hopeful future entirely depend on education. So teacher, very, very important. Now next week, I'm going to Bombay and some serious discussion, which is organized by Tata Institute.
Tata Institute of Social Sciences and Research.
So they already committed, you see, making, drafting curriculum, secular value. So I'm looking forward. So like that, now already some institution in America, the Kasachoti, Emory University, already committed, you see, like that. And then in America, as far as I know, 2 cities. One city with the name of City of Kindness, another City of Compassion. So accordingly, within the city, more sort of program or activities regarding compassion or kindness result within the city, the student much more peaceful. So many students, so much willingness to help other people, to serve other people. So therefore, now education is key factor, and the female should take more active role. Very good.
I'm sorry I came in towards the end, but I would like to press you on the women's question and the question of a women Dalai Lama in particular. Do you not think, like, instead of waiting for things to happen by chance, we need to actively look for a woman Dalai Lama? And, you know, through that actively challenge the patriarchal structures that exist in all societies?
In Tibet, there also, you see, a tradition. The previous one, before die, choose his or her reincarnation. But the tradition there. So some people feel that more sort of stable. And in any way, some Tibetan high spiritual leaders come on the basis of seniority. That's also very stable. See, our previous sort of practice, previous Lama died, then you should set up search party and find. And first Dalai Lama himself, you see, become very famous scholar and spiritual leader. Then his reincarnation, second Dalai Lama, from childhood, very clear memory about a previous life, so convincing. So then the second Dalai Lama recognized as a reincarnation of first Dalai Lama. Then third Dalai Lama also same. Fourth, not that much. Fifth become importance because of becomes sort of both double responsibility, spiritual as well as temporal. Then sixth Dalai Lama, disgrace. Then seventh Dalai Lama, quite good. Then I think eighth, okay. Then ninth, very young age, passed away. Then 10th, 11th, 12th, young age, passed away. So during regent, a lot of trouble. After 13th Dalai Lama passed away, 2 regents, finally, they themselves were fighting. So, you see, from that viewpoint, it is better while one Dalai Lama, before his sort of death, choose one reincarnation or representative like that. Okay. It's more stable, more stable, like that. But a few years ago, in America, I think in Newark, one meeting, some Nobel laureate also there. Then, on a meeting with some media people, and one media person asked me about reincarnation of 15th Dalai Lama. Then I took off my glass, looked his face. Do you think next Dalai Lama is, regarding next Dalai Lama is something urgent or not? Then he said, no urgent.
Thank you, Your Holiness. We've come to the end of our program.
Okay.
His Holiness has a very, very busy schedule. And before I hand it over to Mr. Prakash Dubey, our General Secretary, for the vote of thanks, I just have one small personal question from you, Your Holiness. What is the verse of the Buddha that inspires you the most?
I think firstly, as I mentioned earlier, Buddha stated, you see, his follower should not accept his teaching just out of faith, but investigation and experiment. So usually I describe Buddha, one aspect of Buddha, of course, founder of Buddha Dharma. So we consider Buddha. One aspect of that person is a great philosopher, great thinker. He taught one philosophy which now quantum physics, as I already mentioned, shunyata, patita samuppada. Shunyata means patita samuppada, interdependency. Shunyata, not nothingness, but everything due to other factor. So not independently exist. So absence of independent existence is shunyata. So this is direct sort of oppose our fundamental ignorance. Now here also is my friend, one American scientist, Aaron Beck. Now his age nearly 100 years. So when I first met him, his age 84. He helping people who much sort of disturbed their mind due to anger. Now, he's not a religious person, scientist. He mentioned to me, after a few decades, his sort of work with such because of the traumatized way, mentally disturbed people. His conclusion told me, when people develop anger, the object which the person feels angry appears very negative, but 90% of that negativeness is mental projection. So this is Nagarjuna clearly mentioned. So I myself now, I think as I briefly mentioned, the thinking, not intellectual level, but more serious thinking and getting some experience, now that really affect my emotion. So now anger's attachment almost gone. Because this anger's attachment very much based on exaggeration. Exaggeration comes, you see, we believe on, say, Kasoda, appearances. There is huge gap, appearances and reality. So appearances, because of grasping, grasping sort of appearances. So appearance or things remain there from objectively exist. Now controversies say, no, nothing objectively exists. This is very similar. So the concept of shunyata is really sort of helpful to reduce the basis of exaggeration. So anger, attachment, fear, all these destructive emotion based on because of exaggeration. The other hand, compassion, these so proper reasons there, analyze. Then positive emotion can increase through reasoning. The destructive emotion, no proper basis. So based on ignorance. So no way to further increase through training. The positive thing, through training, can increase. These are Indian, your knowledge. We just usually learned from Indian master and we kept.
Intact.
Yes. So not only just me, as I mentioned earlier, around 10,000 monks and a few thousand nuns. You see, these are the potential to use their knowledge. That is something important.
Thank you very, very much, Your Holiness. Please give him a very, very warm round of applause.
Thank you.